Power up. Welcome to Energypreneurs, where I bring to you the exciting new opportunities in solar power, battery, and electric cars. I'm your host, Sohel Hasni. I have been tracking and analyzing these technologies on LinkedIn and Twitter for more than 10 years. Now we meet on podcast.
Electric vehicles are very cheap to run. I'm sure you heard about that because to do 100-kilometer electric vehicle might take about 10, 12 kilowatt hour, which cost maximum $1, 50. But the same distance, to travel the same distance with a gasoline car, you will need about 10 liter of petrol, which costs between $10 to $15. So you save a lot. But then again, people don't want to adopt the technology because it's expensive to buy. Today we discuss with Ndia, who basically turned electricity vehicle as a service, a business where you really bring those operational benefit into a single price, and people don't have to worry about the high upfront costs. They just pay a single levelized cost from her company, don't take the technology risk, don't have to worry about depreciation, don't have to worry, is the battery going to last long? Her company fixes it all for you. I'm sure there are opportunities across Asia to replicate this model, and India is happy to help you out. So please come in and join in this discussion.
Hi, Ndia. Very nice to meet you.
Yes, good day, everyone. My name is Ndia Magadagela. I am the CEO and co-founder of Everlectric, a business that is based in South Africa in a city called Pretoria.
Amazing. Pretoria has electric buses, no?
Not yet. I think we're going there, certainly. There's talks in the market about introducing electric transportation, public transportation in South Africa. Cape Town was the one that's going first. There's actually already buses running there, electric buses, and Pretoria will probably follow as well.
Yeah, because I visited Cape Town long time ago, I think 11 or 12, but there was an electric car company there. I visited the factory.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So already a few years ago, South Africa was already developing, and even we manufactured our first EV. I think it must have been in 2015 or 2016. So it's been something that has been brewing, and I think we're starting to see it taking off in recent years.
But what you are doing, I just briefly had a look, and I'll ask you to explain. That is fantastic. And that's where electric vehicle needs to go, because it's a service. Maybe if you could explain.
Yeah, so Everlectric is an electric vehicle as a service company. So we provide a full maintenance lease solution to users of electric vehicles in South Africa. Our focus is on the logistics industry, fleet managers. So anybody who does a high amount of mileage in kilometers, who would like to transition their fleet to electric, we provide the vehicles, we provide the charging infrastructure, as well as all the maintenance. So it's literally to take the headache out of the transition of businesses to electric.
So you basically turn that into an electricity company, right? You just charge a cent per kilometer and have a flat fixed fee, a minimum something, no?
Yes. So we've got a flat fee for the entire solution. So when a client signs up with us, they will know upfront what that subscription amount will be. And that subscription amount will include the vehicle, the charger, it will include all the electricity that they need. It will also include the maintenance, as well as the driver-facing app and the connected back end. Literally for 5, depending on how long their contract is, sometimes it's 3 years, between 3 and 5 years, they've got an X amount that they pay of a subscription, and we provide them the service.
So literally you take all the hassles away.
All the hassles away, and probably we'll go into it, so the challenges that we experience as a country and why electric mobility has not taken off as quickly as it can. So basically, we put together our solution in order to take the headache out of transitioning.
Yeah, and in a straight way, prepare and can compare side by side all the savings, right? Everyone knows that I spend X $100 on a car per month, and then you turn that into a single number. So it takes all the volatility out, right?
Correct. That's exactly it. Looking at the fact that our customer, our typical customer, if they were using an internal combustion engine before, they were not necessarily worried about where to fill up their vehicle because that is an established market, it's an established ecosystem. They were not worried about the technology because for many, the EV technology is still quite new. So for them to transition could create headaches where people have range anxiety. People are worried about owning this asset where they don't necessarily understand the technology. They don't understand the degradation. What is the residual value, for instance, of these vehicles? So in the way that we have put it together, they don't have to put down the capital. They don't have to worry about being fully charged the next day. We provide that service and they just pay us a subscription fee, but they get to save a lot of money on their fuel costs.
So you are, of course, sure in the back end, you have a partnership with one of the vehicle manufacturers, right? So that you
Correct.
also get a discounted car price because you bought in volumes, some kind, no?
Yeah, exactly that. And actually, in the last 8 months, we've also opened the first electric vehicle only dealership in South Africa, where the customers that would like to actually purchase vehicles outright instead of leasing them can even walk through our door and purchase one off the floor. We offer both because it's really the preference of the customer. But we do have agreements with our manufacturers or our suppliers to ensure that we can package these solutions to our clients.
I mean, this is very exciting. The whole world needs this. You have figured out everything, no? So you earlier mentioned that you are going to the market segment where the maximum number of kilometers gets driven, right? Now you're saying you are also allowing residential customers to come in, walk into a showroom and buy a car, right?
Yes, that's exactly it. And the reason why we went to that segment of the industry first is really more to solve the South African problem, right? We've got a few challenges in South Africa. Firstly, there's a power crisis in South Africa. Our clients are always worried about will there be availability of electricity? And then secondly, when it comes to the cost of the vehicle, in South Africa, it's still probably one of the few countries globally which still charges punitive import duties on the import of electric vehicles. And so the cost of the electric vehicles in South Africa are still quite exorbitant. And so in order to solve those problems that I've mentioned, we put together the solution in the way that we did, but then we take our clients through a calculation that says on a total cost of ownership level, even at the most expensive where the electric vehicles are right now, it is still cheaper to run an electric vehicle. And so that's why the segment of the industry where the clients are doing a lot of, where the ones that were probably the first that we could approach. So this is logistics, but it could also be passenger, public transportation, etc. But as a country, again, we are seeing a lot of development in terms of policy. And so we are expecting that over time, we'll be able to reach other segments, even like the business to consumer segment of the market, because those prices are going to start to come down. But this was just our entry into the market. The guys doing a lot of kilometers.
So how many cars you have running right now?
So our fleet is sitting at over 100 in South Africa. That number is growing really daily. You can imagine, Sohail, when it's a new product or new solution, that the way that we had put it in, initially it was quite slow until fleet managers started realizing that actually they save money. But not only that, they also get to save on their carbon emissions and tick off their ESG commitments that they've made. And so when that started dawning, that's when we are starting to see an upward trajectory and an upward uptake of the solution.
It's amazing. I also interviewed, his name stepped out of my head right now, a few months ago, and I also visited his startup in Sydney. What they're doing is basically when residential condominiums get developed, they will come in and provide the charging infrastructure and allocate X numbers of cars for certain number of residents so that it comes into part of the owning the residence, or if you're a tenant, the car comes in the package. So you get X number of hours in a month or something. So you just book with an app. So basically what you're doing, but a little bit maybe more targeted.
Yes, yes. No, and that's exactly it. And I think with where the industries are going, there's been such a great opportunities for startups like us to innovate and actually bring these solutions in such a way that when somebody would have been discouraged to go EV, maybe because they don't understand yet how it would work, that you just make it easy for them. In that example that you're giving, when somebody's buying a home and they already have this as part of the package, it's just so much easier for them. And that's, I suppose, why we are entrepreneurs and we are here to solve the problems that people might have. Yeah.
Extraordinary. Do you mind taking us with a charge? How much will be a sort of like a cost of a car? I know you mentioned that you have a very high tax in South Africa. What's the typical cost of a car if I went and I bought a, say, standard Toyota Corolla equivalent? And if I took a subscription, what's the sort of figure? Some numbers would be.
Yeah, no, for sure. So if you, let's say in the segment where we play, which is the panel van, if you had to go and buy a normal 1-ton panel van in the market in South Africa, you would be paying, and I'm going to be doing the dollar in my head as I'm talking to you, you would be, let's say you're paying $30,000 for a panel van. But if you then go and buy an EV equivalent in South Africa, you're going to pay that 30,000 plus up to 45% import duty. Something that was 30 now becomes 45. And because of that, the adoption has been a bit slow. And in fact, in South Africa, you will find that the vehicles that were brought first that are EV were the higher entry, not the entry level vehicles where you got the BMW iXs and the Audis and all of that. But now we're starting to see the cheaper vehicles coming to the market. And so if you look at that comparison where I was saying it's 30 versus 45, and you take it on a lease. So this is a $45,000 vehicle, but you're taking it on a lease. And on there, we charge for the fuel, so the electricity. We charge for the maintenance, the insurance. So it's an all-in cost. What we are finding is that our clients who are doing above 3,000 kilometers a month are saving between 10 and 20% on the total cost of ownership. Now, this might be true for South Africa just because of our landscape, but you can imagine that when those prices of the vehicles start to come down, when we start having things like incentives from government or tax breaks and all the things that other countries have done to make the solutions a lot more affordable, even people that are doing less than 3,000 kilometers, it would be efficient and it would be good for them. So that we're really hoping for that day when those prices start to come down. And we believe that it's going to be soon. But our clients are saving between 10 and 20% on their monthly costs.
So this is people who are doing 3,000 kilometers a month.
Yes, and up. So the more kilometers that you do, the better the more you save. And that's what we are seeing on the ground.
So for a $45,000 car, if somebody is leasing or subscribing your services for 3 years, so it's about 36 months. So they will be paying what, like a $300-400 a month subscription all in, or more?
A little bit more than that. So they'll be paying, say, between 700 and 1,000, depending on how many kilometers they do. And over that time, they will save. In fact, we've got clients who are saving from day one, who are doing like 4,500 kilometers a day. And again, like I said, it could be a 3-year lease, 4-year lease, 5-year lease, and the guys are saving.
And then you are taking the whole problem of owning and the new technology risk. What will happen to my batteries? What happens if there is a fire? Who insures?
That's exactly it. We take that headache. And also, Sahil, if you think about the profile of our client right now, it's guys that are running fleets in the thousands. And so for us to be able to take that headache away, for them to wake up every morning and have a fully charged battery to do their day. I was talking about the fact that they're saving between 10 and 20%, but I was also saying that in South Africa, because of the power crisis that we have, our solution becomes very much attractive because every morning we can get to them a fully charged vehicle because of the connected back end that we have. So we are able to schedule around things like power cuts. We know when they will, because they're scheduled, and we just ensure that our client is able to charge in that time when there is power. So they don't even have to worry about their power schedules and all of that. We take care of all of that for them.
Wonderful. So you must have an app that integrates all of those operations, right?
Yes, no, that's correct. So we've got a back end that obviously is just what we would see, the dashboards that we would see. Those would tell us what is the state of charge of the vehicle. It would tell us where's the next charger to where the specific driver is if we see that they're running out of charge. It's an early warning system for us for errors, let's say, in the charger or the vehicle. So there's what we see in the back end, but there's also what the driver would see on their app, and that is directions to chargers. Are the chargers open? Would they need to wait for somebody else to finish charging before they go over? So those kind of things we've built into the driver-facing app, and many other things, just to make the user experience that much more better for them.
And especially because it's a sort of a delivery vehicle, people will not have a sort of a human association. It's my car sort of thing. So you can easily swap one car with another if you have anything, right? If you have a scratch or a dent, you just replace with another one. It's not that I'm waiting for my car to be repaired, right?
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. And I think that's why clients would really appreciate our service, because we write it into our legals that within a few hours of them, let's say, getting into an accident or there's an issue with the vehicle, we provide them with an alternative so that their business is the interruptions as little as possible. And so we do carry some extra stock of EVs to be able to do that for them. Sometimes it's temporary, sometimes it's permanently that we have to remove a vehicle and give them another one. But at all times, we ensure that our client can do their operations with little interruption.
Amazing. So how many kilometers have your vehicles done so far? You have 100 running, so you must have done almost 1 million kilometers, or?
Yeah, so we've actually done 3 million kilometers on South African roads in the last. So we just went over a year of having that fleet of 100. Initially, we had we did a proof of concept in the country with 5 vehicles, and that was an 18-month trial in some of the fleets in South Africa. But now we've commercialized and we've done just over 3 million kilometers. So we've learned a few lessons, and I think we're coming up to a point where even if we had to double or triple that fleet, we would really understand the day-to-day complexities of the solution.
Are you somehow partnering with the power company there? Because I posted something this morning on LinkedIn. I was thinking this is the sort of ultimate way that to partner with the local power companies, because it's a moving load, right? So they need to know which transformers, and if you are going to relocate a large number of car, maybe they will encourage you to go somewhere where the substation capacity is way more in terms of your charging design when you scale up, right?
Definitely. That is something that we definitely are constantly thinking about. And also, I suppose our landscape in South Africa, our electricity is becoming more and more from renewable energy. So there's a lot of solar that has come into the country in solving the power crisis issue. And so we are talking partnerships even with like producers of renewable energy, so that we've got designated power from either wind installation or solar installation or wherever the renewable energy would be coming from, that would be designated for us and our chargers and our vehicles. So we definitely are. As we scale, we obviously will need quite a substantial amount of power, and we would like for it to be renewable as opposed to coal.
Yeah, I can think of when you say you have 10,000 cars running, and you can easily auction off that I need X megawatt in this area, I need that, and let someone else come and run it, right? Even for the charging infrastructure, you can give a flat fee sort of subscription to back, and someone saying, okay, why didn't you install 2,000 charging station of this, and you sign a contract, right? You don't have to own everything, no?
That's exactly it. And I think if even just our how we've been thinking about this as a business as we grow is really about greater partnering. What we are seeing in South Africa is also quite a number of charger suppliers, charging infrastructure suppliers coming online. And we've got agreements with actually almost like all of them for us to send our fleet to them, which also increases their utilization, but it ensures that our clients are also happy. So I think we're very much deliberate about partnering correctly so that we feed off the infrastructure as a whole. And certainly because it is an industry in its infancy. So I think we still have the advantage of it being small for us to test and try and see what works. But it's really exciting to see what will happen as we scale when we get to 10,000 vehicles and above.
Amazing, amazing. So are you thinking, what's your expansion plan? How large is your team right now?
So our team is just less than 10. And I think in the next couple of months, we're going to have to grow that team quite a bit. Expansion plans is really, we haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to commercial fleets and these customers that are doing a large amount of kilometers. Yes, we're going to continue to grow in that sector. But like I said, when the prices of these vehicles start to come down, we can also move into other segments of the market. Things like we are already playing in the retail sector in South Africa, where retailers are doing last mile delivery of goods. So we could go into the security industry, for instance, even into mining, because they do a lot of patrolling and mining vehicles. We can go into the pharmaceutical industry. There's really a large market out there in different segments of the market where we can play. But I think with the 100 and starting from 0 to 5, as we were growing gradually, we have learned the lessons and we can now just replicate this to any industry, really.
Are you thinking of franchising eventually?
Not yet. I think we haven't really thought that far. You know, in the early days when you're still trying to figure out how it works, thinking keep it all to yourself and try and grow that way. But we are not against anything that could expand the solution. We are thinking of the continent of Africa as well, just as a start. And we are starting to see a lot of inquiries from neighboring countries, for instance, who say, in what shape or form can you bring the solution to our countries? So that is also exciting. So in our growth plans, we are not living out the African continent.
Yeah, within Africa, I only been to Cape Town many years ago, but now I think I'll find an excuse to come again to have a look at your setup.
Yes.
Yeah, this is very exciting because Africa being geographically where it is and the vast landmass, obviously you have to convert everything into solar, right? The solar charging will be an ideal solution. Then you can almost run them for zero marginal cost.
You make a very good point there. We are charging off solar quite a lot in South Africa as well. So I know I spoke about the grid and all of that, but our ideal position is where we charge off solar. So because of the power crisis again in South Africa, there's been a lot of like solar coming in, and even a lot of homes would have their own solar generation. Even businesses have their own solar generation. So a lot of our clients are actually using that infrastructure to charge their vehicles as well. And you can imagine that the cost of running those vehicles then become in the sand even. It goes even lower and lower. So I think the solution, if you add solar to it, it just becomes even that 3,000 kilometers that I said is like the sweet spot. It can even become 2,000 kilometers or even 1,000 kilometers that you start seeing savings if you're going electric vehicle and leasing the leasing model that we provide.
But 1,000 kilometer, this Cape Town is South Africa is a very long city, right? I'm surprised that 3,000 is considered a large number. 3,000 is only 100 kilometer a day, no? I thought this number will be more, no?
So our vehicles, we can support vehicles that do up to 400 kilometers a day. The 3,000 kilometer is just where you start to either be at parity with internal combustion engine, and then if it's more than 3,000, you start to save. So that's that number there. But our vehicles are able to do more than 300 or 400 a day. And again, maybe just talking to our expansion plans, we went with firstly the vehicles that do 300 or 400 because of the amount of charging infrastructure that there is. But you can imagine that when we start increasing that charging infrastructure, we could have different areas where these vehicles could charge. So that 300 could be, we can support vehicles that do kilometers a day. So as we grow our infrastructure of charging, we would be able to support fleets that are doing even a lot more kilometers.
Yeah, some of these even large charger could be remote area solar powered. You just store them in a battery and someone can charge off. Because I did from Sydney to Sunshine Coast, which is almost 1,200 kilometer in a single day. I bought a Tesla and I got super excited. So let's go without thinking through the whole family, but we made it, but in a single day. But of course, then you realize that better planning helps, although we have a lot more charging infrastructure in Australia now. But it's exciting. This range anxiety is just something I believe is something that got made up by the fossil fuel industry just to slow.
I agree. I agree. And I think we see it here. Every year there is a drive from Johannesburg to Cape Town in EVs just to educate the market about what is possible. And we've also seen it that it's all about planning. It's all about knowing where the next charger will be and saying that's where we'll have breakfast as a family, because we're traveling down to the coast and you stop there and you charge while you do whatever you're doing. Or you have a stopover somewhere and overnight you charge your vehicle. So there's a bit of a mind shift that needs to happen, because in South Africa, this range anxiety is really, that's the first question you get asked. Where am I going to charge? Am I going to get stuck on the side of the road? And we can tell you that in the 3 million kilometers we've done in the country, we have never run out of charge, even at the worst of the power crisis, because we manage it and we plan it correctly.
Yeah, I brought my car down to 1% and the car was complaining, this is very low, should charge immediately. I had an appointment to go to. It's okay. Then I met someone else at the charger and he said, no, even if it says 0, you can get 20 kilometers.
I wouldn't take that risk, but
now I know the African continent is big, especially Rwanda, on the drone delivery of medicines, right? The Matternet, that company started, I think, more than 15 years ago. Are you thinking of doing the drone also as a subscription model? That would be amazing for your same client, no? Why not deliver small parcels, right?
It's actually interesting that as I'm talking to you, I'm really getting the ideas also. I think it is something that we really could look at. In South Africa, we are starting to see a lot of drone technology companies coming up. And of course, Rwanda is well ahead of us in that respect, but definitely something that could be done here. And not just for, let's say, for the pharmaceutical industry as well. I'm thinking of drone technology for like farming, those kind of things.
Yeah.
The possibilities could really be endless. And anything that could get supplies delivered efficiently from point A to point B is definitely, it will make a big difference in this country as well.
Because the thing that you are doing is hitting on the one mindset that we have, right? Cent per kilowatt hour. Why? Because when you are burning coal, you have to burn X dollar per ton of coal. So there's always a marginal cost associated with it. That's why we come up with cent per kilowatt hour, right? Car was also like that. Okay, I have to buy gasoline X dollar per liter and there is a cost. So people always used to. But when you are giving a flat fee, then it becomes zero marginal cost. And on your end, it's also zero marginal cost if you're doing solar charge. It's all fixed cost, right? Why you
Exactly.
introduce a variable component unnecessarily? Because it's just a legacy cost, right?
You're very right. And obviously, businesses are looking to reduce that cost. And also, most importantly, they are worried about their carbon footprint. And so you almost kill two birds with one stone for them. And we'll continue to build the solution and even introduce other technologies like what we were talking about, drone technology and all of that, for just the efficiency of moving goods from A to B. That's it.
Extraordinary. So what do you do for fun? Looks like you are 100% at work. Are you doing anything else in your spare time?
I do lots and lots for fun. So in this business, it's myself and my two partners. I've got two partners in the business. But what I do for fun, I really love to cook. I think I would have been a chef. I love music. I'm actually in a band. I sing in a band on the weekends. Just last weekend, we traveled to a country within Southern Africa called Lesotho. Up there in the mountains, there is snow. So we went snowboarding in the snow. We really love to travel as well. So there's lots of other things that we get up to outside of transitioning logistics to electric.
Yes, because I remember when I went to Cape Town, few of our colleagues saying we had lots of meetings saying, no, we need to go to a place called Mama Africa. And I still remember those drum in my ear, right?
We love our music, right? We love to dance and be happy. We laugh in Africa and we say when we are sad, we sing. When we are happy, we sing. We just always sing, no matter what it is. That is, I've been singing all my life. I think if I wasn't a business owner in this way, I'd be a singer or I would be a chef.
Good, good, very good. What do you call your company? What's the, I'm sorry, yeah, what's the sort of background behind the name?
So actually our company is called Black Slope Mobility and we are trading as Everlectric. So that's the brand that you will see out there. But the Black Slope, for those who are into snowboarding and they're into skiing and things, is the hardest part of the slope if you are if you're skiing or snowboarding. And we just felt that we will always tackle the problems that seem to be insurmountable. And that's why we call Black Slope. But the Everlectric was a play on forever electric. So we just said Everlectric for this business. We also in the Black Slope group. So it's a Black Slope group of companies. The mobility arm is what we were talking about. But the partners, we're very passionate also about innovation and non-organic growth opportunities. In fact, my background is in mergers and acquisitions. I'm an accountant and I spent years in mergers and acquisitions. So we also within the group have a business called Black Slope Consulting that consults in strategy and innovation. This innovation thing is really just in our blood, and we're helping South African businesses think about non-organic growth opportunities and ways in which they could grow their business outside of what they are used to. What's new out there? What is it that they could tap into? And that's one of our other business. Yeah, that's where Black Slope comes from. And soon we will be launching like a venture capital fund, but that is still really early days. But that is something that is the next step for us.
You just mentioned venture capital. How much money have you raised for the company, or is it all self-funded at this stage?
So initially we did self-fund and we did raise some equity. We've raised, again, let me do the dollar conversions. We've raised over $2 million already, and we'll keep raising because, as you can imagine, it's a very capital intensive business. As you grow, you need to be increasing the capital when it comes to vehicles in terms of charges, etc. So we're currently looking for asset-backed funding. Loans rather. Our equity round has closed and we're currently talking to financiers about debt and concessionary debt because it's green debt, and we're open to that if anyone wants to have a conversation about asset-backed funding.
Wow, amazing. So what's your forecast? So in 3 years, you must be going very high up, steep, no, the numbers?
No, for sure. We always say that our dream is that in the next 3 to 5 years, we can talk about a book of more than $1 billion. And that is possible if you look at South Africa, if you look even at the continent, it is possible. So we do think that is attainable, certainly with what we are learning now and the market coming around and seeing the solution as really being a solution for their problems.
Really, I think I like the energy you bring into the conversation. I think that itself would be very useful to energize few more entrepreneurs across the world, no?
It's really my passion to talk about my journey and and to speak to entrepreneurs especially. And I think it comes from back in the day when I was born. My parents were small village entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship was instilled in us from an early age. And so part of what I enjoy the most about my job is the fact that I get to meet other like-minded people and we all share our stories and we share our scars from the journeys that we've been walking. But it really energizes me to think that we moved from having 0 vehicles and a PowerPoint presentation to running a proof of concept. And now we can even dream to have a book of over 1 billion in the near future. It's just amazing to see what the power of just working steadily every day can do. And yeah, for us, it's really energizing.
Amazing. I asked you a lot of questions. Is there anything else you want to share?
Yeah, just that South Africa and the African continent, and as your podcast really does reach a lot of people all over the world, it is still it's an investment destination. And I think there's many opportunities that financiers or even like business partnering and people can look into in the African continent. Because we are developing, there's a lot of opportunity for growth. And so if there's anyone listening and they would like to know more about the South African, whatever industry, we would be really happy to have a chat. And it would be really great to showcase what is possible in this part of the world.
Wonderful, Ndia. Thank you so much. I really learned so much from you, and I'm definitely will come back and get some more numbers. And thank you. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Energypreneurs. To continue listening to this conversation, please visit us at Energypreneurs. Thank you. See you next time.